Whoever wants to be great, stand up right now. Whoever wants to be great, stand up. Excellent. Now repeat after me. Repeat after me. If you want to be great and successful,
you want to be great and successful,
you must walk hand in hand.
You must walk hand in hand,
side by side, with great and successful people.
With great and successful people.
All right, have a seat. All I did for about 7 years of my life is attempt and try to find out what makes the great great. That's all I ever did. When I left Northwestern University in 1984 with PhD in hand, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I certainly knew what I didn't want to do. I did not want to teach. I did not want to go into corporate America. I didn't want to go to the foreign service like many of my colleagues. I guess sort of subconsciously I wanted to find out the keys to success. So I carved out a list initially of about 40 people that I was going to meet and interview, and notice at point blank range trying to find the keys to success. That list of 40 swelled to almost 100. And all I wanted to do was find out what makes the great great. And I'm just here to tell you some of the things. When I asked Don King what makes the great great, Don King says if you overfill your place, people will come see you. If you set yourself on fire, the world will come see you burn. What makes the great great? When I interviewed Mae Jemison, the first black woman in space, I said, Dr. Jemison, what is success? She says success is lifestyle. Life is God's gift to you. Style is what you do with it. What makes the great great? When I interviewed Ben Carson, arguably black America's #1 neurosurgeon, Dr. Carson said to me, he said, think big, think stretch, think global, think quantum leaps. By all means, think. And that is the key. What makes the great great? Have you found it? Percy Sutton of Inner City Broadcasting said to me, he said, young man, if you have but one wish, let it be for a dream. What makes the great great? Henry Parks of Park Sausage said to me, he said, young man, in one hand I have a dream, in the other hand I have an obstacle. Which one grabs your attention? What makes the great great? The few moments that I had with Reverend Ike, he said to me, he says, I know the key to greatness. I said, Reverend Ike, what is it? He said, mind your own business. I said, Reverend Ike, you want to run that by me again? I said, yeah. He said, mind your own business. Bob Johnson of BET said to me, I said, Mr. Johnson, what is success? What is greatness? He said, life is a grindstone. Whether it grinds you down or polishes you up depends on what you are made of. I asked Louis Farrakhan, I said, Minister Farrakhan, what is wealth? He said, poor is the man who all he has is money. What makes the great great? And then I came full circle to Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson says you may not be responsible for getting knocked down, but you're certainly responsible for getting back up. What makes the great great? Well, in short, it's a sense of destiny, as Peter Daniels say. It is a sense of destiny. And anybody can have a sense of destiny by following 5 keys. Number 1, focus on that which you desire most. Number 2, emulate somebody that you can admire. Number 3, develop a gratitude attitude. Give thanks for the things that you do have. Don't worry about the things that you don't. Number 4, recognize that strength grows out of struggle. And last but not least, dedicate yourself to lifelong learning. Readers are leaders. The average black male in American society spends more than $500 on the outside of his head. Haircuts, shaves, dental work, but spends less than $50 a year on the inside of his head. And I applaud everyone here today. Readers are leaders. All you are is a mental being. All causation is mental. Everything happens to you twice in life. First the inner, then the outer. First the thought, then the thing. First the mental, and then the physical. And to the extent that you control what goes on the inside of your life, you'll control what goes on the outside of your life. Readers are leaders. You can be, have, or do anything you want in this society, and I tell people, do not become a know-it-all. Don't have preconceived notions. It's like the story of 3 men who were about to be executioned. And each one of them were granted one last word to say before they were about to be guillotined to death. The first one to approach the chopping block is a doctor. The doctor puts his neck on the chopping block, and the executioner says, Doctor, do you have any last words? And the doctor says, yes. Physician, heal thyself. Right then the guillotine blade comes down and stops 2 inches from the doctor's neck. Everybody out in the audience says, surely this is a sign from above. This man is innocent. Let him go free. The next one to approach the chopping block was a priest. The executioner says to the priest, he says, Father, do you have any last words? And the priest says, yes, keep the faith. Right then the guillotine blade came down and stopped 1 inch from the priest's neck. Everybody out in the crowd says, surely this man is innocent. Let him go free. The last person to approach the chopping block was a know-it-all. And the executioner says, sir, do you have any last words? And the know-it-all says, yes. If you tighten the 2 bolts on the left, the guillotine will work as planned. Don't be a know-it-all. The information is there. The material is there. Focus on your God-given talents. Use this billion-dollar brain, this mind that you have, and use it for your own personal good. You see, the Bible says the first shall be last and the last shall be first. We in the black community have been trained to believe. You go to any pastor and say, Pastor, what does that mean? The first shall be last and the last shall be first. Well, the pastor will say, well, that's living proof that black America will one day be first. All these years we've been last, but one day, if you read it right here in the Bible, we shall be first. Well, it doesn't mean that. The first shall be last and the last shall be first doesn't mean that at all. You see, we live in a consciousness that says, I will not believe it till I see it. In other words, when you show me the physical, then I'll believe it. The Bible says put that last. See, the physical, which is first, will now become last. And the mental, which is last, will now become first. You see with your mind's eye. You get a dream, a vision, something that you want to do, and you see with your mind's eye because your physical eye will lie to you. I interviewed scores of achievers. You name it. I spent a day with Al Sharpton. I spent a day with Don King, Susan Taylor of Essence Magazine, Mae Jemison, Percy Sutton, you name it, and I had the pleasure to talk to that individual, and I found 4 common chords no matter who I interviewed. Number 1, they dreamed big dreams. They had a dream, a plan, a vision, something they wanted to accomplish so desperately with their life. Number 2, they were inner-directed versus outer-directed. In other words, they didn't live life at the circumference, they lived life at the center. And they weren't so quick to believe well-meaning friends or family who said, you can't do this or you can't do that. See, that's what Robert Frost meant in his poem, 2 roads diverge in the wood, and I took the one less traveled by. You are unique. You cannot succeed being like everybody else. You must take that lonely road. And that's why I have in my book that the opposite of success is not failure. The opposite of success is conformity. So many times we conform to the wishes, the norms, and the mores of others. Number 3, these individuals flat out refuse to be average. They committed themselves to personal excellence. Now again, you can be, have, or do what you want in this society, but I tell people, don't be average. See, average is worst of the best, it's best of the worst. It's top of the bottom, bottom of the top. Society remembers the achiever. Society will even remember the man or woman who fell short of the mark, but nobody remembers the man or woman who is average. And when you die, they'll put on your tombstone, here lies somebody that's just average. And last but not least, these individuals flat out refuse to fail. I'm not saying that they didn't fail. Many times they actually failed their way to success. But no one was going to stop them. And again, going back to my book, that's why I say that success is a statistical event. That's all it is. When you encounter your setbacks, when you encounter your adversities or that thing that sets you back, do not personalize your failure. And failure is never failure until it is accepted as such. And one way that you can overcome any failure, one way that you can ensure that you will rally forth and redouble your efforts, is that when you hit that setback, when you hit that adversity, ask yourself, what can I do better next time? Success is a statistical event. Why am I Dr. Kimbro? Because I'm smarter than you guys? No. I got a PhD because I got more college hours than you have. When you get the same number of college hours I have, you'll have a PhD too. You doubt that? See, I interviewed Marva Collins in Chicago, and I asked Marva, I said, Marva, if I put you under a microscope, what is the 1 or 2 things that I would find out over and over in your character? You know what she told me? She says, I learn 15 new vocabulary words a day. Now, I can take a high school dropout from inner city Oakland, and for 5 years, teach that individual 15 new vocabulary words a day. And after 5 years, they may not be Marva Collins, But I guarantee you they'll either be on somebody's